Welcome to Beyond the Gates 2024. I am Jerry and this is Rauta channel featuring you some of the interesting content from Bergen. This time I don't have a band member and you're now curious why on earth not? You will soon find out. Welcome to Nidhogg Tattoo Studio and Madame, please state your name and what are you doing here today?
My name is Jannicke Wiese-Hansen. I have been doing logos and album cover art for about 30 years for the Norwegian black metal scene and one American band. I've been tattooing for about 30 years and doing so much more, doing merch for enslaved. I've been designing coins for Isle of Man and the Queen of England. I've been working also last year with the National Library of Norway to do the exhibition in black metal that they had going for 6 months. I don't know, I stumble into things and I do a lot of stuff. I can't even remember all of it now.
So you're an artist with a capital A, so to say.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Humble, but yeah. Alright, let's get back to the early days, because this is something that a lot of people always kind of, overlook. They focus on the band lineups and they maybe see a, say, label, logo and all that stuff, but everything else is so often hidden in the details, like who did the logos, who did the cover arts, and there are lots of people like you who have been not just helping but kind of moving the bands go forward with their art, which is key or essential part of the whole thing. Can you explain how you got involved, how you started doing art with the bands?
I've always been drawing, and I've been into metal since Anthrax I'm the Man in 1987. And the bands, our friends here who also was into metal formed bands, and then I was the one who could draw. And they just asked me if I could draw them a logo, like Immortal. They needed a logo, so I could draw them one. And I was like, I'd never done that before, I have no idea. And they're like, well, the Mayhem logo is amazing, the Unleashed logo is amazing, and that somewhere in that neighborhood with an inverted cross. Yep. And I did some different ones and they picked one. So, and then it went into, the demo logo for Bursum, and Slaved's first 2 logos. I just started making it for different bands. But it's so completely coincidental.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's started.
Yeah.
This is actually, I had a few years ago an interview with Enslaved Ivar, and he actually mentioned these two because first, of course, first Enslaved logos are quite different and yet quite the same, but the inverted crosses were more like replaced with the mural near stuff, but they mentioned that they use still all the older logos as well for certain merchandise, so it's still out there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see it patches and everything.
How do you feel when you see, like, say, a certain fan wearing merchandise or you see your own art? How does it make you feel on the streets of Bergen or whatever?
I'm quite used to it.
Yeah, of course.
But it is still actually kind of fun. And just yesterday when Enslaved was playing, one thing is the logo, but just to see how far they have come also from Eva being 14 years old when I first met him. And then to see all of Grieghall, I just had to turn around and just look at everything, and so it's quite nice to still be a part of it, that they still use the logo. Now,
you mentioned Anthrax back in the 1980s, 87.
A band I've never seen yet.
Oh!
They always annoy me.
Damn.
It's very annoying.
It's a good live band for sure.
Yeah.
I'm one of my favorite thrash bands, so anyway. But what got you into the world of black metal? I mean, there's quite a big step still from Anthrax to, say, black metal bands, but of course a lot of black metal bands were Bergen in early 90s.
They became black metal bands while I was hanging with them.
From the death metal start.
Yeah, instead of going into black metal, we just stumbled into something that became black metal. But of course in the beginning it was like Immortal was doing Holocaust metal. Yeah,
whatever it means.
I know. And it became just a genre in its own, with O Funeral doing death metal, and then different bands eloping from there who wanted to be have thinner vocals and have a even more evil feel to it.
Since you've seen it firsthand, this is probably more important for the kids out there, the younger generation who are like hopefully watching this interview, is like to understand that, like you said, black metal didn't start like that, but there are a bunch of death metal bands, and the basic foundation of even Norwegian black metal is within death metal. How did you see this transition? Like, you know, like you mentioned, you saw this band changing and picking up new names. How did it make you feel suddenly, like, because things changed quite quickly?
For here, the scene became more and more narrow. Like, some people stayed in the black metal and speed metal and thrash metal, and then you had some people going into the much darker and occult scene or mood. So it became more and more narrow. It was quite ridiculed at some point when we were walking around. People would, you know, throw shade at us and I don't know, talk to us like really childish people. But I get it, because in the beginning there, you know, people would start wearing like black cloaks when they went to garage, and chain mail, go into garage to have a beer, and of course it was a lot of people who didn't understand it. But it was a really amazing scene to be a part of, to just go get into the different, like Madame Blavatsky and all these different occult things that they started getting into. But of course, just your mindset was also changing a lot. I've never been like just black metal. I've been The Cure, and I've been very wide in my music taste and everything. But it was very we were sitting all night role playing and all this stuff, like RPGs.
Yeah.
So
this is actually funny background part. I have to share a little bit my own here, because I remember when I was like early 90s, mid 90s, and I was kind of expanding to the world of black metal from the thrash, from the heavy, from the death metal background, and we were throwing dices, you know, we were playing role-playing games, and I always thought I'm the only weird guy doing both, like listening to black metal and doing that, and I was like kind of shy to even mention in Finnish, and later on I would find out a bunch of Finnish black metal guys, they all come from Tolkien's and Star Wars or Dungeons and Dragons, and then the more I learned from the Norwegian scene, it's like, okay, these guys are the same. Gorkroth picking the name from Tolkien, Burzum doing basically the similar thing. So there's a strong, you could say, geek background in the whole thing. How much do you think this evolved, people going into these darker paths or fantasy worlds, going from these, well, dragons and orcs and elves and dwarves or whatever?
How I feel it.
I mean, how like how to say, how this transition from the role-playing geeks into full-blown black metal bands. How do you see the, how do you say, evolution, growing up, maturing?
I actually don't really know, because everything back then, because you were just in it, didn't analyze everything of it. It's almost difficult now, 30 years after, to analyze how things happened, because everything was just so connected. You would sit and listen to black metal while, like, my first game master was Vikernes. He got me into role playing, and a lot can be said. Me and him are not eye to eye. It's been a long time since that. But he was an amazing game master. And the whole mood, it was almost like we just had the same mood listening to black metal, drawing inspired things by black metal and the whole role playing. It was in one big mush, kind of.
Yeah, kind of a natural next step to go from these things. Now, talking about art-pure logos, you've done more than that. What are your favorite things in terms of creating art for bands?
It's always a challenge to make them different, completely different, so you don't end up just doing one style, like the bunch of branches that is, you know, the thing that people make fun of. I did the Galsved logo, and I made it downwards, just to make it completely different than all the other logos. And it was kind of interesting to see how it was welcomed by the metal world, because when they were going to start playing bigger festivals, I can't remember which one or if it was several, but they couldn't deal with the downwards logo on the poster. So they started creating, like, they cut it apart and started creating like a sideways logo, and of course we and Christian, who is downstairs from us here, we were just like, no, you can't screw with somebody's logo to make it fit your poster. It doesn't work like that. Now it's accepted, and now they make it work somehow. But that was very interesting to work with.
I've heard similar stories because those logos that are like, how to say, are they horizontal? Yeah. And some people have said exactly the same problem happening. Like people are like, oh, there's logo here. How we fit this one, especially if it's one of the bigger bands that's supposed to be on the upper part of the poster and all that stuff. Now, since there has been so many years since you started and the whole movement started here, how much do you think it has changed in terms of people growing up, bands changing, bands becoming bigger, new generation coming in?
I was talking to somebody about it the other day, because sometimes I get, when people introduce me or something, they're like, oh, she did so many logos and so many album covers, and I haven't really done that many logos and that many album covers. But then I realized there wasn't really that many bands back then either. And it has evolved. I think it's really, really cool that it's still a genre to be reckoned with. Young people still do black metal, and they do it with a hunger that the older bands maybe don't have the same way anymore. But I think it's quite amazing that what was made back then by so few people still is a thing to reckon with now. And now also, of course, who had thought back then that going to Berlin last year, there was a Scandinavian black metal exhibition in the embassy, Scandinavian embassy of Berlin. You walk into the embassy and the first thing you see is this enormous battery goat when you go up the stairs.
Yeah.
We didn't think that would happen back then, so it's been an evolution for sure.
Yeah.
But it's still a bit of controversy, amazingly enough. But it's not as much.
Yeah. I mean, we went to the airport and you could see some tax-free store, doing the ad with some lady with corpse paints on, and it was like, this is kind of a weird cultural appropriation to put some corpse paint person on a fucking duty-free shopping ad. And like, oh, didn't expect that, but
no.
Yeah. Now, of course, Bergen is one of the focal points in Norwegian black metal, and of course there are lots of bands here, always been and probably always coming more. How much people, you mentioned that little bit of controversy happening, but do you think the climate here in Bergen is different to, say, other Norwegian cities in terms of how metal people are being part of the culture, accepted, and even given these awards for music?
It was more different before, being in Western Norway. There was quite a big difference on how you acted if you were from Bergen and around here, and from Oslo, because I don't know, here you would say cheers and have a good time and have a laugh, but the people coming from Oslo to visit us, except for the Emperor guys, they could also have a laugh, but they were much more serious.
Uptight?
Well, I wouldn't say uptight, but maybe just a
little bit arrogant more.
Yeah, but they were more into, if they were going to say hi to you, they did that. That was it.
I think it's a capital city syndrome, really.
It could be.
They're better people because they're from the capital city.
But Gorgoroth was pretty evil as well. They're definitely not from the capital city.
Yeah, true. So always exceptions.
Yeah, but there was a difference to where you were from. Like here was enslaved guys and everything, and that's just always fun,
Yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah, but now people are more similar. Now you meet people in the Oslo scene and they're like, hello, and cheers and everything. So that's changed a bit.
All right. Now, what is also very important to understand for people is that given so many lineups throughout the years and all that stuff, you don't really see a lot of women in bands. So being women must have been something also different, and you being like important character right there. How hard it was to kind of blend in as one of the chicks rather than one of the boys, because there are always boys clubs and girls clubs, I guess.
Well, it was actually absolutely no problem.
Okay.
I was at the conference for women in metal.
Yeah.
A few days ago at the Beyond the Gates, and we were talking about that because it seems like maybe it's 3 generations about that, because we were so few that when I was 14 and into metal, I was a unicorn almost. You know,
Yeah,
boys
yeah.
were like, oh, a girl with a
That's
you know,
what I mean.
Rotting Christ T-shirt. I
Yeah.
remember Faust was saying that later on. That first time he met me, he was selling the Orkustus magazine at a concert in Lillehammer, and I walked in with a Rotting Christ T-shirt, and he was just like,
What the hell?
yeah, never seen that before.
Yeah.
And first time we went to Helvete also to see to meet Øystein.
Yeah.
We had gotten a message from the immortal guys here, like, if you go to Helvete, tell Øystein hello from us and stuff. And we're like, okay. And we came into Helvete and like, yeah, the immortal guy says, you know, sends their regards. And Øystein was like, okay, so you guys are probably Jannicke and Agnete then, because, you know, there were very few here. It was into metal. There was a few more. But, but we were one of the boys, or one of the guys.
Yeah,
we were never, except for the, you know, Unicorn being 14, but when we were a little bit older, we were just partying and having fun with them as a part of it. I've never had any interest of being on stage, complete stage fright. So I've been very good at just hiding in the shadows. It took a lot of years before I even told anyone or posted on Facebook. It was actually in 2012 that I posted on Facebook that I did the Bursum covers and the logos for different things and Satyricon and such. But it was, back then it was good. Then came, it seems like an era where women were much like quizzed. If you're wearing a Voivod t-shirt, you know, guys would be like, oh yeah, what's your 5 favorite songs?
Oh yeah. The
And, you know, what
stuff,
album,
Yeah. I couldn't name 5 different Voivod songs.
Me neither. I like them though. But anyway, I would fail those quizzes. But now, again, now it doesn't seem like the same climate for quizzing and stuff. Now it's more accepted again. That women are there. They're more on stage. But it's still shit happening, so we still have to.
There was also
actually,
more proving when you come from a women's club, so to say.
Yeah.
There's lots of more prejudice. I see that also happening, and
Minttu had a hard time breaking through. She got so much shit.
I think it was partially because horrible advertising, because suddenly she was basically nobody, and suddenly label was saying Queen of Black Metal. And that's quite an outrageous comment if you think about it, considering how many bands there have been since 80s and 90s, and even lots of all-female bands like Grease and whatever. It's like quite bold statement. Like suddenly if I was like, oh, I'm the king of black metal content on YouTube, like, dude, get your head out of your ass.
Well, arrogance is supposed to be part of black metal. Though.
Yeah, but I mean that's when you get the shit also.
Yeah,
I mean,
but she also got like I saw memes where it was commented that her boobs were too small.
Oh.
That's where we are on Facebook. And then I had to call out the guy who said that, or spread it further, because I was like, no, that there's a limit to what what you can
Don't
lower
be an
yourself
asshole.
to.
Yeah, that's kind of like a really low blow thingy. But let's talk also a little bit about tattoos. Of course, you have a lot of tattoos, and you've been doing tattoos, and here we are at the Nidhogg. How much, how to say, fame points, how much people recognize, hey, it's that Jannicke who did all those logos and arts, and how much, like, I want to get a tattoo from you because you're you. Or is there any of that?
There is some of that also. I've done the Bursum cover a couple of times and such. I mean, I do mostly wood carving, black and grey wood carving tattoos.
Okay.
Very much inspired by the portal of the stave churches around Norway, or just old Viking wood carvings, or the different gods and myths and everything. But I do some black and grey still.
Yeah.
And there is definitely some black metal tattoos being done. My favorite one being, because I did the first album cover for Bursum, and there's this one guy, he's at the festival now, but he loves Star Wars and he loves Bursum, and he asked me if I could do the Bursum cover on his leg, but make the creature, the guy, into Yoda. Oh. And I love the tattoo still. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was Yoda back when I did the cover.
Oh,
but now I do.
Yeah, okay. Now, what about your own tattoos? Are there certain favorites that is like something that you're really proud of, or just something special to you?
I think it's more, it's a storybook of my life since I was 18.
Kind of a map?
Yeah. I mean, I have Satan and Lucifer and everything here. My kids' drawings in colors when they were 4 and 5 years old on my other leg. A lot of hand poked and much more Viking things and stuff from stave churches. So it's a big mix of things.
Have you ever counted how many tattoos you have?
No, and it's getting to be fewer and fewer, because this is one and this is 2. and
okay.
you know,
So they're one big whole
they're just
thing.
getting connected now.
Yeah. So it's kind of harder to
yeah. I
separate
used to
them.
have more tattoos before. Or,
kind of makes sense. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Any guides for ladies out there who are about to enter the metal scene and maybe are a little bit afraid? Like, can I go into the guys world or all that stuff with your experience? You think you can like help a sister out, so to say, like would be, boost her confidence or whatever?
I'm just hoping that very soon they don't have to be helped out in any way.
Yeah.
It seems like it's slowly getting better.
Yeah.
But it's more actually you should rather speak to the guys that they should stop that damn quizzing, because we're not there because they are so cool. We're there because the music is so cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be limit, so kind of lines drawn between genders rather than seeing people who are there for their own art and all.
Yeah, but now you can see, like I saw also at that women's conference, like now the women are starting to become bosses in a lot of the different like record labels and everything. And also for a long time women have been doing festivals. Like we're not on stage, but we are in the shadow behind the stage and doing stuff.
The kind of gears that make things, the machine work.
Yeah, like pyrotechnicians, like Kirsty was a pyrotechnician, toured with Immortal and everything. She's also from back when I was there. And I think it's okay that they don't all want to be rock stars.
Definitely.
They been on a festival for 4 days.
Yep.
Sorry.
Taxi.
But I think women just have to dare.
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck and just dare.
I think that's a very good advice. Don't give a fuck, just move on.
And if somebody comes over and quizzes you about anything, they can fuck off. Really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
We're over that.
One last question is, since you have done so many different things regarding art, the logos, the tattoos, the covers, and you mentioned the other projects, are there some unconquered land, some things you need to or want to expand your art, like dream come true, okay? Any favorites?
Like for Christmas, I really want more hours in the day, so I can do more stuff.
Yeah.
My next things is that I really want to do some books.
Okay.
But it's kind of like illustrate Norse mythology books in my style. But it's difficult to work all day as a tattoo artist, go home, walk my dog, make dinner, 2 kids, then sit down and start illustrating for a book. So we'll see next year if I get some. I have a publisher who's kind of working for me to be able to take off a little bit from tattooing, just take some time off and concentrate on that. So that's my next dream, I think.
All right.
But that is what I would like to do. I have some other things too, but most of the things I do, I just stumble into. Like the coins, like gold and silver coins, which I've never thought about making.
Yeah.
They called me and asked me if I could do it.
Nice.
Stuff like that.
So sometimes good things happen to good people.
Yes. And I love that when that happens to good people. Yeah.
Now, silly final question. What's your favorite god or goddess in Norse mythology and why?
I really like Hirokin, who nobody knows about, almost. She's a strong, not too good looking woman. When Balder was dead, they wanted to burn him, of course. They had him on a ship.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff on the ship, very heavy ship. And she was going. The ship was going to be pushed out to sea.
Yeah.
And nobody could actually move it because it was so heavy. And Thor and several gods were trying to, and they got pissed off. And somebody said, "Get Hirokin, she's so strong." So they got her, and she arrives on her wolf, where the bristle, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's black adders.
Yeah.
So she's already cool. And she's like, "Okay, I'll help you out if you can just, hold my wolf here." And people are trying to, and they can't really hold that crazy wolf.
Yeah.
So she's, okay, I'll do it anyway. And she just goes over to the boat, and she's kind of like doing that. And it goes so fast out into the sea that the wood, the trunks underneath the boat starts to burn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of divided afterwards what happens, because Thor gets really pissed off.
Of course. He was supposed to be the strongest guy.
Yeah, his pride is just wounded so badly. So some mean that he just killed her there, but it's also some gods that hold him back.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard about her afterwards, But she's definitely very cool.
Maybe she will one day be in one of your books and you will get to
She will
write that sequel.
definitely be in one of my books. I've already tattooed her a couple of times too. People are like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, have you heard of it? Okay.
No, this is new information for me too, because while I have been reading some Viking stuff over the years, of course, well, there are always characters you gotta like miss out for a reason or another.
Yeah, and Rauta, the little squirrel
yes.
Yggdrasil. It's also my favorite.
That's a cute little piece. All right, thank you so much for this talk. Now people know, I hope you'll know a little bit more about Bergen history, her art, and all these fascinating stories and little anecdotes here and there. And by the way, if you are wondering what she means by garage, it was the famous bar, which is no longer here, but replaced by a new bar.
Miss it every day.
So things are different nowadays. But when you come to Bergen, this is a good place to visit. And if you like tattoos, if you prefer to get some ink, this is one of the people you should totally get in touch with. So once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This is Beyond the Gates 2024. Stay tuned for more videos coming your way. And if you have questions, put them on the comments box below and maybe I can forward to her. Off you go. Bye bye.